came down
You
3
go on
weekends.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So I guess Theo's gonna be in it? That's fine, right?
I don't
care.
know. Yeah.
Right? Do you care?
Does it look less professional?
Well, yeah, maybe we'll.
Yeah, I think that.
Do you want to put her in the kennel then?
Yeah.
Zen Essential. I'm your host, Dr. Alexis Hazen. I'm a board-certified plastic surgeon who specializes in breast surgery and gender-affirming surgery and cosmetic surgery. I've been practicing in New York City for over 20 years and continue to learn and educate as an associate professor at NYU Langone. Please join me in our mission to discover Zen. Welcome to the Dr. Zen podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alexis Hazen, and joining me is Jim Cramer, who is my friend and my friend's husband. But he's also
Lisa,
yeah,
my wife,
Lisa, who will be joining us later. He's also has an incredible resume. He's the host of CNBC's Mad Money and the co-anchor of Squawk on the Street, right?
Exactly.
And you've done so many different things in your career, and I didn't realize you were a graduate of Harvard Law School and Harvard College, and you're also a best-selling author. And you're a Philadelphian.
Yes,
and
I am.
A big fan of the sports there.
Yep, I've been watching, obviously, the 76ers better than I thought. I'll still put on the game, whatever the game is, but I'm almost a lifelong Eagle season ticket holder now.
Totally. Do you have a good luck shirt?
Yes, I do.
And do you have like a whole weird
Well, once when we went to the Super Bowl
through?
years ago, I went to confronted the coach and said the reason we're winning is I never take the shirt off. And the coach's wife at that point was Andy Reid. She said, actually, you know what? I think that Andy had something to do with it too. Fair enough. Put me in my place.
That's awesome.
Put me in my place.
So I wanted to talk, this podcast is pretty much dedicated to health issues, technology around health. And you had a real struggle with migraines.
Yes.
And I've been researching it a little bit. Migraines are a huge problem. They're statistically huge problem.
Yeah, and I think that look, you're a doctor. The people I work with, American Migraine Foundation, emphasized to me from day one that apparently it gets like a day in med school, maybe not even a full day.
Not even.
Right.
Not even. I mean, like a couple hours.
So I think that I am the spokesperson for the American Migraine Foundation because I had so many problems, and and the doctors who treated me were so gracious that all I wanted to do was give back.
Oh.
And mine was incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
And happy to go in.
Yeah. No, I want to hear what happened.
Okay,
because I know. I mean, we've talked about it sort of
Right.
casually, and I know that it was when you were going through it before you got good treatment. It
Sure.
was really debilitating.
Yeah, it started for me. One of the things, Leslie, that's so strange is that, and I think it's something that maybe you just have to get used to get older. But in 2016, at that point, I was 62. I woke up with a headache.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, geez, I usually don't get headaches.
Yeah.
I guess I'm getting older. I hear sometimes it happened to be raining. I said, oh, maybe I've got some sort of tension headache.
Yeah,
Maybe, my work's been hard. And
Mm-hmm.
I like very much to just take some Tylenol.
Yeah, sure.
And nothing happened. No
So you took the
cessation of pain.
Tylenol. You still.
It took, no cessation of all the pain. And then about, I don't know, like 6 hours later, I said, geez, I'm having problems doing my work.
Wow.
I typically do not have a headache that would actually make it so my work is compromised. Not the product was not hindered as much as that I couldn't think right.
Yeah.
And I think this is a common problem with migraine sufferers. Let's say you were writing a line, you might literally write the same line again.
Really?
Yeah, because you didn't remember that you'd written it before. It's almost like it's not hallucination. It's just it has to do with problems in. It's not. It is a concentration issue.
Yeah.
So I went through the day and I said, okay, well, look, it's a bad day.
Yeah.
What do you do? Bad day. And then I woke up the next day, I had it still. And
That's kind of
so then I figured, I happened to have really good doctors, and I called my doctor, and he said, well, how long has it been going on? I said, since yesterday. He said, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
You ought to come in. And I went in, and they really,
Were you worried?
The second day I was, because
Yeah.
I said, this just hurts too much.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
telling Lisa, I said, gee, my head just like,
It's
it's like I
just
feel like I had a
throbbing.
concussion.
Yeah, yeah.
Concussion. I feel very much in a fog.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, something else is bothering me. Noise.
Oh,
When
no.
when Everest, who I then renamed, by the way, NVIDIA, when Everest barks, it's almost unbearable.
Oh, my gosh.
And when you put the dishes in the dishwasher, I can't take it.
Wow. And that was all new. That was just like overnight.
And she said, well, what's it like? I said, well, it's almost as if everything's dialed up,
Yeah.
but just certain noises.
Interesting.
She goes, well, like me talking to you? I said, no. Certain sharp
so there must
noises.
be frequencies.
Yeah. And enough toilet flushing, that sound, I have to run when I flushed the toilet, because that sound was like,
Deafening to
yeah,
you.
it would be like, if you didn't know any better, you'd be at a ball game. It would be like suddenly, and the noise went on, and it would be just like, wow. And for the dog barking, I literally would I put noise canceling headphones on to be at home.
Oh, God.
And
sorry, I'm laughing. It's just
it's
horrible.
unbelievable. So then it goes on, and I get to see my doctor, and he said, look, there's not anything right now, other than we can try these things that people are using.
But he diagnosed you with a migraine, not a
He
brain
said,
tumor.
he said, we did a
You did a CAT scan.
we did a CAT scan.
Right? Okay.
And we did MRI.
Yeah.
And he goes, look, I
There's
don't see anything.
yeah. Because that's the other thing that
Right.
it can be.
I thought it was a brain tumor.
Yeah,
I thought
of
for sure it
course.
was brain. You overreact. It's
but
brain tumor.
I would
And I
think
actually
that.
had an experience, and it was, I'm not going to mention the hospital, but it was one of those things where the nurse called me and says, listen, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you. You're going to have to speak to the doctor directly. I said, no, I need to know. I need to know.
Like,
And then I called my doctor and said, look, the privilege, this woman let me speak, whatever.
Yeah.
She came back and said, no, you don't have a brain tumor. But I said, but what am I going to do here?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I also developed about went on for a month, and I was taking Bufferin. Then he took me to sumatriptan. There was something that was basically, that made me very seasick.
Yeah.
And I also about a month later developed tinnitus, which is noise it's ringing in my ears, and I can talk a lot about that because I spent a lot of time on that. But my doctor said, listen, you got to go to a neurologist. And
I remember from afar knowing about this, and I think I saw you during this time.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And you were kind of.
Oh, I was so bad, and
I was.
And it was this amazing man, Dr. Newman, who was a neurology professor at NYU at the time. And he said, look, we're working on things. We don't have anything yet. I said, well, how about the Bufferin?
Yeah, right.
Just look, I'm going to tell you, I have migraine. We know how bad they are. We know that they have nothing to do with the brain. It has to do with the skin casing. I described in my particular one, and he said, okay. And he said, look, it's actually, and I had a lot of pain right here. So he said, look, in the interim.
Right in that
right
part
here,
of the head?
He said, in the interim, what we do is we're going to give you 100 shots of Botox right there. I said, well, what that will do? And he goes, that will give you a half-hour relief. And I said, well, I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
I'll take it. And months go on. And I have 4 or 5 days a month that I don't have migraine.
Oof.
And then
That is
25, 26 that I do.
Brutal.
And every day you get up, and you don't want to get up.
No.
And every night you'll take a Xanax, you'll do whatever, take
anything to sleep.
You'll take Klonopin, whatever it takes. Yeah. And I found myself thinking, well, I guess this is it, because this is not a quality of life.
Right.
And I did, when your brain hurts, it's very hard to throw yourself into work. If you have some other part of your body, you can throw, but your brain, what happens to me was that...
Was it hard to think?
No, it wasn't hard to think. it was hard to concentrate.
Uh-huh.
Meaning that I could come up with stuff,
Yeah.
but I knew that I had to, and Lisa hated this, I added 3 hours to my workday.
Because you couldn't
Because
concentrate.
that's how I did it.
Yeah.
And I always felt that the quality, and I had a lot of people check had the quality, because I told people,
Yeah.
is the quality degrading?
Deteriorating, yeah.
And everyone said it was fine, but to write, instead of like, typically what I would do is, let's say for the A block of Mad Money, I would write that during the day, and then the B block I'd write during the day, and C block I'd write at night. Instead, I'd write as much of the A as I could, but then if news overrid it, I couldn't use it. I'd write B at home and C at home because it was quiet. And I went up to the third floor so I didn't have to hear the dog. And what's really a shame is that they don't get it, the animals, and you scream every time the dog barks. You scream, and then one day Dr. Newman said, "Look, we're doing this new class of drugs, CGRP." And I said, "What is that?" And he goes, "Look, all I can tell you is they're working."
Wow.
He had been running
Trials. Yeah. And that was at NYU.
Yeah,
right?
and he said, "And I got to get you on." And this is about 4 months. I said, "Well, look, I got to tell you, this is not a quality. This is not a life worth living."
I mean, you were somewhat desperate,
I was
right?
desperate.
Yeah.
I was desperate. This is not a week. It was between the tinnitus and that. I said, "This is like I can't wake up every morning. I'm pretty much of a person who likes to get to work. So I can't wake up in the morning and live in fear of noise. I live in fear of noise. Live in fear of a dog bark. Live in fear of a dish." Of a fork hitting a table.
How did you deal at work?
I just lied a lot, I mean, because I didn't want anyone to feel bad for me.
Yeah. So you just sort of suffered through it and acted as
my
if...
closest friends, I said, "Listen, we can't have any noise, and we have to. I need
because it's
I
really
need
hard on
100% quiet. I need a level of quiet you won't believe, and no one can raise their voice.
Wow.
And
could they do that?
Yes, but everyone understood and they're very respectful. And I wore noise canceling headphones as much as I could. But it's highly unusual to have that many migraines.
Yeah,
a lot of people have 4 or 5 migraines a month.
Yeah, sure.
And if you check, like if you go to our website, American Migraine, you'll see a lot of different information.
Yeah.
Only about 10% of people have what I have.
Yeah.
It's very unusual to have sound. A lot of people have light.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different triggers,
Right.
and there's
And
environmental things, there's stress, there's
exactly.
light, there's sound.
That's why it's one of those things that it's a rubric.
Yeah, completely.
Migraine's a rubric.
Yeah.
But so I go and I get the shot.
It's a shot.
Yeah, it's a shot.
And the first
right
one
here.
was the
Aimovig.
Aimovig.
That's the shot that's made by Amgen.
Yeah.
That was the first on the market.
Oh my gosh, Amgen.
That was
I love
Amgen.
that
It was
company.
the first on the market. And I woke up this day, it was gone.
Oof. Were you like,
It's
did you
gone.
cry?
You know, it's funny. The brain is really strange. I didn't have any recollection of the pain.
Really?
None.
Wow.
So it wasn't like I woke up and I was joyous.
Yeah.
I woke up and it was
You
normal.
felt like normal.
It was normal.
You felt like yourself.
But I wasn't rejoicing in it. It was like, it took me about 5 minutes to realize,
oh, I don't
my
have
God.
pain.
I don't have pain. I'm not fuzzy. I would go down usually, like I was getting up at 4 to do a lot of work. And I went downstairs. Then I went up, I woke up Lisa. I said, Lisa, I don't have any pain, but I don't want to jinx it.
I don't want to say anything. Yeah.
And I remember Dr. Newman saying to me, look, the FDA's approved that you can do it once every 28 days. I said, how about the other 2 days?
Yeah, right.
I'm getting these a month. I can't. I must take it. And he said, no, well, they won't let you do it. But then it rained. I had a couple rain days, and I felt something.
But it wasn't as bad as
it
the
wasn't as
original.
bad.
Okay.
And
what about the tinnitus?
that's something I can talk about. That's a different path. I'm going to give you that too.
Okay.
If you want. But
You have a very interesting
no,
health
you're
history.
you're getting the iceberg. There's underneath. There's tons. So as time went on, I started having fewer and fewer. As it kind of built, I felt like it built up, and that's my way with Aimovig. But Aimovig I had no side effects. All the things that they
and
told
it was
me
just
to
an
take,
injection once a month. Okay.
And I think that one of the things I want to point out for people who are watching is is that there was a lot of, I happen to have really good doctors,
Yeah.
but there were a lot of other people who advised me, and everyone has their own thing about what to do.
Oh,
And
totally.
For me, the only thing that really worked when I had it was to wear an ice pack on my head, literally I created like a turban. And
Really?
Yeah, that's how I would deal with it. Before I go to work, I
Interesting.
would ice my head, and if it was really bad, I'd get the Botox.
Botox, yeah. And the Botox would last
It lasts
a
for
week?
No, just for the rest of the day.
okay. So just
These
like,
really powerful migraine.
yeah,
It's
you
just a
really,
nightmare. And
unbelievable.
but then there were days when it would rain and the Aimovig wasn't strong enough. The temperature would change very quickly, or it would be cloudy, and I would wake up. And then I would get to the end of the Aimovig stops at 28 days. Then you have to have 2 days wait. You have an Aimovig day. You write on your calendar. Aimovig day. And it's got to be kept cold. So you would have days 29 and 30.
We're a little rough.
And impossible. It'd run out on 28.
Yeah.
And then one day, Dr. Newman called me and said, got a new drug for you. Nurtec. Nurtec. This is made by Biohaven Labs. And
same class of drug.
yes.
Yeah. So it's a
and this is
receptor
a tab.
agonist. Yeah.
You let it, you put it in your mouth.
And it dissolves.
Dissolve.
Yeah.
And, let's just see what happens. So on the 29th day, when I'm just throbbing like crazy, ice in my head, praying no dog barks, and I'm all set up at my desk doing my thing.
Yeah.
At 4 a.m. because I'm trying to catch up. And I take the tab, and it goes away.
Whoa.
Goes away, maybe 5 minutes.
That's incredible.
So you go from being a desperado to someone who only has them a few times a month to having someone who, when you take a pill, it goes away.
Goes away
and
like
then
that.
they get approval from the FDA to make it so that it's preventative.
Oh.
So now if I wake up and the weather's changing or it's cloudy or rain, I just pop a Nurtec and I have no migraine. Now, there are still times. I had terrible migraine last Saturday.
Really?
Yeah. And
Do you know what the trigger was?
We don't know, and that's one of the things that's really unnerving about it.
Yeah.
And Lisa knew that I was really upset, and
Yeah.
I snapped at her, and
Well, I would think that you would have a certain level of anxiety about
Well,
it
I
and
just
about
can't-
worrying because it's like it's so difficult to deal with it, right?
we had to go out.
Yeah.
And I'd normally look forward to it, going to some place on White Street, hot Michelin place. And I said, look, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. And one of the dogs, I call him Wolfie.
Which one?
The husky.
Oh yeah,
Tony.
yeah.
He,
Tony
he
Rigatoni.
He started barking. And I said, God, I cursed. I said, God damn it, you got to get this dog under control. She goes, Jim, he's not even barking loud.
Right.
I said, well, it's back, and it's bad. And she said, did you take a Nurtec? I said, yeah, it didn't work. She goes, oh, geez, that's too bad. What do you want to do? I said, I'll just put ice in my head. So I still, I've had 2 in the last 30 days. And I went back to Dr. Newman, and I said, he said, look, Jim, nothing's perfect. But then on Sunday, I woke up and it was gone. And this one had no weather for
There wasn't.
So this one really scared me because there was no weather trigger. So immediately you think, is it, the Aimovig wore off.
It's not working anymore. Yeah, exactly.
But I then, after this happened, after with Nurtec, once Aimovig kicked in, Dr. Newman said, look, we have this foundation. And he wanted me to join the board. I'm not allowed to join any boards.
You're not?
CNBC, no.
And there are a lot of things you were not allowed to do.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I mean, I'm doing this because it's a carve out. Because I'm the chief spokesman. Right? I would not normally be.
I know you would.
And then they don't give me approval.
Yeah.
But this is for charity.
And, thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
And I spent a huge amount of time. And one of the first things I did, the Migraine Foundation calls me and they say, look, would you like to be our chief spokesperson? I said, God, yeah.
Of course.
And they were all laughing because they had asked 20 people.
And nobody
were
wanted to do
famous,
it.
And they all would they would hurt their career, or they didn't want to hurt their sports career, hurt their acting career, or they might hurt them with insurance. And a joke, say, yeah, sure. And oh God, does he know what he's getting into? And I came back and said, look, I got my life back.
Yeah.
And only because I knew the right doctor.
Yeah.
And I
I
said,
mean, that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because I know how desperate you were. And I have, as a doctor, you have patients who have chronic pain for various reasons. And it is debilitating and scary. And, I know that you didn't really want to keep on living. And that's so scary to be in that position. Right?
Right. And what I said to Dr. Newman, and then I addressed the foundation, is that there are so few people who know about these drugs.
Yeah.
And do you know, here we are 6 years later, and people still don't know. I mean,
Well,
I spoke to a very smart woman 2 weeks ago. She had not been to many doctors. She'd not heard of Aimovig and not heard of Nurtec.
Nurtec, yeah.
Nurtec's owned by Pfizer now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand. And it's such a big problem. I mean, it's like 1 in 5 women get migraines, 1 in 11 children, 1 in 16 men. It's like 10% of the population worldwide get migraines. So it's a huge problem.
Let's talk about women.
Yeah.
Okay? Not until I got involved did I realize the discrimination.
Oh.
Women, it's a headache. See, it's not a headache.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the terrible things.
Right.
And they'll suppress it because they're afraid they'll do poorly at their job.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt, okay, look, I'll go out of my way to say, look, I'm a man, but I have it. People have to understand this is a disease.
Yeah.
Okay. It has nothing to do with the headache. And there's no buffering.
Yeah.
But then I also go, whenever I'm like at a ready clinic, I always say the same thing. Let's say on the road, whatever. I said, what do you have for migraine? And well, there's nothing for migraine. I have yet to meet anyone, a doctor who has said, well, there are three different injections.
Yeah.
There's one by Teva, one by Lilly, and one by Amgen, and then there's a dissolving pill from AbbVie, which is Ubrelvy, and it's the same class as there is Nurtec.
Oh, AbbVie is the pill?
AbbVie owns the other one.
Okay.
AbbVie owns the pill, and Nurtec is owned by.
Got it.
Pfizer bought Nurtec from Biohaven. I have been to see Dr. Borla and had him on the show. He's the CEO of Pfizer several times, of which I said, if you looked at what the sales for Biohaven, very little coming, of what they were doing with Nurtec, and then look at when you took it over, it's almost embarrassing that you've had so little uptick.
So why is that? Because it's such a huge problem.
Now they've changed.
Okay.
They started during football season. They hired Lady Gaga to do commercials.
So, okay. So it was connected to football season.
Right. Well, then you had big viewers, big viewers, very expensive ads, really well produced ads.
Okay.
And then he called me and said, "Listen, we're doing what you want." I said, "About time. Look, I said, look, I'm unrelenting about trying to get people for help because I'm so lucky that I got help."
Yeah.
So we still get together. I gave a talk to the foundation, I guess about a month and a half ago, about the goals I wanted to do.
And what are your goals?
Well, I just think that we have got to get the practitioners to know.
Yeah.
And Lily's been great, by the way.
Oh, good.
Lily's been really, really good. But the best way to get these practitioners is to get these drug companies to realize that they have to be far more vocal.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Dodick, who is a tremendous doctor on the board of the foundation, said, look, he'll work too to help. He was on the Brain Foundation when I was the chief spokesman for Brain Foundation. But in the end, all I can do is like nudge people.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so great that Pfizer decided to step up with the Lady Gaga campaign.
Yeah, I saw
really
that. That's really great.
And sales shot up. Sales went through the roof after that.
And that also helps with the woman problem, which you described, which is that, that often, it's sort of brushed off as just like a headache or back to like hysteria, right?
Right. Or these same old medicines that don't work.
Yeah.
I'd say probably once a week I get a call or I hear about a person who has had problems with migraine, and I'll call them or have them call me, and they don't know anything about these drugs. And the Aimovig is a remarkable drug, and you take it out of the refrigerator, you put it aside for 25 minutes.
Right. It's incredible.
And I find that when I think about what I went through and just how lucky I am that it came along.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people were taking the Botox, and I got to tell you, very limited.
Yeah.
Very limited.
I mean, such short-lived help.
But
It does help. It does help for certain types of migraines, and it's longer acting. But for, there are, like you said, it's a sort of it's a garbage bag.
Right.
Full
No,
of
I was with
different
someone,
things.
this young woman who probably 27, right? And she uses it. She says, look, I do pretty well with Botox.
Yeah.
But that might be a person who only gets 5 a month.
Right. And your situation was
Yeah.
really different.
And I think that there's a lot of things that a lot of people who are suffering like I am, but they don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
Or they feel like it could hurt their prospects in some way.
Yeah.
So I'm
people,
very grateful.
I mean, I'm really pleased that you were willing to talk about this, because you're right. So many people don't want to talk about any health issues because they think it's going to hurt them. They're embarrassed. I don't know, but it's great that you're willing to talk about it. You're very open.
I went to last year, I was running the Brain Foundation, and it was up in Boston. And I said, my name's Jim Cramer, and I had done it for the previous 2 years. My name's Jim Cramer, and I'd like to detail all the things that are wrong with me, but we don't have enough time, and also do.
Right.
And I said, but I will just put it under the broader rubric of, I am batshit crazy. And they all laughed. It was like,
that's awesome.
It was actually a great night.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
There's some people who do some things for dementia and Alzheimer's.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's really an unbelievable organization. And that's the thing, when you get involved in these organizations, you're blessed because Dr. Dodick, who ran that when we gave him the award, he had actually literally saved someone's life where they were about to turn the oxygen off, and he realized he knew what the person had and was able to solve it. And I've talked with him. He took me out to dinner when we solved mine.
Yeah.
And it's just it checked one of them.
Yeah, totally. So backtracking, you mentioned the tinnitus.
Okay, so that's a really complicated.
Yeah.
Much worse than migraine for me. So that started.
But that's solved now.
Well,
or no?
Let me explain.
Okay, all right.
It's kind of been interesting for your viewers.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people do have tinnitus.
It's very common.
30 million suffers.
Yep, it's very
just,
common.
That means we get it. It's not tinnitus. Tinnitus is this very weird thing where you have a noise that nobody can hear because it isn't real. There is no noise.
Right.
And
you hear it as if it's real.
Oh.
And it's kind of like a ringing in your ears.
I have many different. Well, I'm gonna give you the full panoply.
Okay.
So
this goes in the category of batshit crazy.
Yeah. Oh, this is real batshit crazy. So one day, I'm at the New York Stock Exchange, and I'm at a lecture in the boardroom of hearing a guy who's from Uber. And he's a terrific guy. And I'm listening, I'm saying, Jesus Christ, man, don't they understand that the feedback is so bad in this room?
Oh, my God.
I mean, I am going to literally go to the sound guy and say, man, you got to stop. Let's just stop this.
Yeah.
And let's stop and reset, because who can enjoy it?
Yeah.
So I go to the sound guy, I know the sound guy. And I said, man, look, I can step up. I can introduce myself. I can get this. So what are you telling me? I said, to stop. We got to stop this, because of the feedback. I said, what feedback? I said, the noise. The noise.
No.
I mean, your job.
Yeah, right.
But it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he goes, look, Jim, I mean, I love you, but I said, it's ridiculous. I mean, look, do you want to stop it or I'll stop it?
Wow.
And he said, Jim, I've worked with you for 10 years, and I would never steer you wrong. There is no noise. And I said, no, come on, man. There's got to be noise.
Oh, my God.
I have a lot of noise because, no, look, maybe just go out, just see if maybe it's better in another room or something.
Whoa.
So I go out, and noise doesn't go down.
Oh, my God.
It's the noise.
Wow.
And I said, well, that's just an oddity.
Yeah.
So,
did you feel like you were going crazy?
Excuse me?
Did you think you were going crazy?
I thought again. I said, I just had the MRI.
Yeah.
So I knew it wasn't a brain tumor.
You knew it wasn't a brain tumor.
So
I mean, that's what I would think.
I call my doctor, and he says, look, there's nothing for it. And
Thank
so
you.
then what I do is I go on the great rich man's pursuit of doctors, every city.
Yeah.
go to all these cities. You go to Boston, Philadelphia, you're going, and Chicago, you should Cleveland, San Francisco,
LA,
Stanford, but also anybody else. UC, and then acupuncture, right? Because people tell me acupuncture. I do that 3 different people, and then I go to cranial sacral. They tell me to do that, and head massage, and then I go to the best ear, nose, and throat people, in the Mount Sinai, and the Cornell, and at Beth, anything. Nothing. Nobody has a single thing, and this thing is so bad and so loud. It's like an aircraft carrier. And not only that, it changes each day. What happens? Well, one day it'll be like a whistle, and then the next day it'll be like air going out of tires. Next day it'll be like what happens to the AM radio network when it goes off the air.
So
and
annoying.
The next thing would be like an aircraft carrier noise. Next would be boom, boom, boom. And this was wrecking my life. I had gotten migraine under control.
Yeah.
But
now you got this new problem.
Yeah, and there was no hope.
Yeah.
No hope. And so I then started seeing behavioral.
Like cognitive behavioral.
In order to be able to make it so I would stop ideating. Mm-hmm. And then I finally got to the best people at UC San Francisco. They have a clinic, and they had it. And really nice. Her name was Dr. Kirk. And she said, look, we have something. And I said, wow, this is like great.
Amazing.
And she said, what we do is we put a chip in your head. And there's antennae that come out of your head. But we think it can control the noise. I said, that sounds great. She said, well, no, wait a second. I mean, there's a 5% chance that you'll die in the operations. Good odds. Actually, those are not good odds. That's 5%. I mean, I said, well, there's a 100% chance I'm going to commit suicide. So this is a better. She says, well, it's interesting you say that because we need to prove that you tried to commit suicide.
Really? To get the
twice
insurance
before you get it.
Wow.
And I said, not an issue.
Yeah.
She goes, wow. I said, no, not an issue. I got the documents. What do you want?
Yeah.
Let's get this done. She said, listen, you got to go speak to your other doctor because this is a very experimental procedure. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, 5%, so I go to my doctor, he says, Jim, 5% is too high. I said, I am going to kill myself. There's the suicide rate on tinnitus is very high. And I remember talking to my sister about it, Nan. She goes, I think suicide is a short-term solution to a longer-term problem. I said, okay. So then my doctor says, I got an idea. It can't be ear, nose, and throat. It can't be. There's no way. Got to go to a neurologist. I'm going to send you back to Dr. Newman. I said,
your hero.
Yeah. So I bring everything.
Yeah.
I bring all my documents. I've got the cranial sacral here. I've got the psychiatrist. I've got this.
The acupuncture, cognitive behavior.
And MRI.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, here's what I want you to do before we get started. I want you to throw all of that away. I said, why? He goes, because it's in your brain. It's not in your ears.
Oh, interesting.
It's in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but no, there's no one proceeds. No one no one's attacking like that.
Yeah.
Well, they're all wrong. It's in your brain. And what we're going to do is and I'm like crying. Yeah. He said, and we're going to solve it. I said, you can't solve it, though. It can't be solved. He says, no, that's what I do. I said, who are you? He says, well, I'm going to solve it. So
this guy's like my hero now. He's unbelievable.
He's the best there is. So he
says, incredible.
He said, we tried some stuff. And he said, look, it's not, you got to give me some time. Mm-hmm. You got to I don't know, whatever it takes that you can relax, even if it means you have to drink. I don't care. But I need a few months. I said, months? He goes, because I have to study the literature. I said, well, I already went to this guy from ResMed who's read everything about it. He says, no, you understand.
He's got to think outside the box.
The literature just can't be in English.
Yeah.
There are people doing wonderful things in many different languages. He has a gift for languages. And someone somewhere has solved this. I said, no one has solved it. Look on the FDA. FDA says nothing works. Nothing works. He goes, well, I accept that challenge. You have to believe in me. I remember going home to Lisa and saying, like, he wants me to believe. Just believe in him. Believe in him. And when you called me in February, it's 4 months, he said, I have the solution. I said, what do you mean? He goes, okay, so there was a study done in Brazil in 1990.
1990?
Yeah, of 5 people.
Oh.
And one of them, it stopped the noise. They used a spray of something called oxytocin, which helps induce.
Yeah.
And the 4 had nothing. But one of them, they sprayed once a day, and he got relief.
Why
for
would
2
that
hours.
work, though?
He said he said the sound is in the vagus nerve. I'm convinced it's in the vagus nerve. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get that by squeezing, if we can get the oxytocin to that vagus nerve, we're going to solve this. I said, but it's not the ear. And he said, nothing. Everyone treats this thing wrong. Mm-hmm. Believe me.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
It's
right?
a nerve
in
the back of your head.
Yep.
If we can get to it with this oxytocin, we'll put some thickener in so it doesn't drip out. Mm-hmm. If we can get to it, they dosed it wrong. I'm convinced they dosed it.
So he thought you needed a higher dose. Yeah.
And
the downside of oxytocin is probably
it's
like nothing. Yeah.
So, so I have the noise every day. I mean, forget the migraine. Migraine, I have this noise. I mean, this noise is like just getting, it's just a nightmare. So I get up and I go and I spray my nose. Now, and the noise is horrible. And I start working out. Yeah. And I put my headphones on because I'm used to it. Music blasting so I don't hear the noise. And I get up and I have a cup of coffee and I take my headphones off and there's no noise.
Wow.
There's no noise.
Wow.
And he said, look, it's not going to work all the time because the noise is the brain is so fickle.
Yeah.
We'll get this.
You got to retrain the brain.
We'll have to do it. Maybe it's twice a day. Maybe it's 4 times. Maybe when you get up. So, and he said, and believe me, he said, I don't want you to get discouraged. You cannot fight a cycle of it. You'll have times when you'll have it, not. But he said, my work tells me without a doubt that this is the solution. So we then, I can't believe it. I said, listen, we may have something big here, Doc.
Yeah.
So we filed for patent, and we got a patent.
Wow.
Yeah, it took a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I take it every day.
I don't know all
this. We did a study through NYU.
Wow.
Dr. Newman subsequently left to an outfit called Atria.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know Atria.
Right.
Yeah.
Boutique surgeons, custom service, but I take, I've got it with me. Now the problem is this: you have to refrigerate it. So I have a Yeti with me at all times. And people, we've had other people try it, and they've had better results than me.
Really?
Yeah.
So
most people have had better results than me, in that I'm not able to suppress the noise all the time. Like I'll be, I am due for my noise to come back on Saturday. It tends to be in a cycle now.
Oh, and what's the cycle?
Soft. Noise starts soft on day 1. Okay. A little bit louder on day 2. Day 3 will be I'll still get that interference. Day 4 will be the air out of tire sound. Day 5 will be in 1 ear aircraft carrier. Day 6 will be 2 aircraft carrier. And day 7, I wake up and it's done again. Oh my gosh. But now it's at least it's a cycle. See, before it was just
random
every day.
And it was every day. It was every
horrible.
Day. Yeah.
And other people have had it, so it just stopped, which is great.
That's great.
And it works in 2 ways. Remember, it's not a real noise.
Right.
So
but it doesn't matter.
Well,
right? I mean, your brain.
Well, what happens though is 2 things.
Creates stuff.
Right, but it does 2 things. It lowers the noise, and it or ends the noise, or makes you less cognizant of the noise. So
it changes
the noise
your
can be
consciousness,
bad, but I'm still able to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being suicidal like 24/7.
Right.
And I didn't give up.
No, you didn't.
And,
but you also had these incredible doctors who
this
didn't
NYU
give up.
network was really fabulous.
And it's amazing.
They never gave up on me.
Yeah.
That's why that's one of the reasons why I did the Brain Foundation was that, Dr. Newman asked me, he said, listen, could you give me help for this? Give me help for that. So anyway, those are what.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's really amazing what you've been through and that you're like here happily telling your stories.
Well, I got a great wife, and great friends.
You do have a great wife.
And everybody, my friends in Summit were really in on it. They
were?
They were just trying to keep me alive.
And so
everyone knew.
I mean, I admire you also for being so open about it.
Well,
mean,
you
now
talk
and
about
and
it.
I mean,
my
agree.
daughter said, "Dad, please tell people you ideated. Please tell people, because no one ever says that.
No, it's true.
You know, and they're always so afraid. So what happens is you think you're the only person who's ideating, and
when you say ideating, you mean about suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, then what happens is you think you're the only one.
Yeah.
And therefore you really are alone. You're very scared.
And you're not. I mean, so many people who have chronic illness, especially chronic pain, think of these things.
Yeah, just say you have dark thoughts.
Yeah,
you know, you don't have to say ideate.
Yeah.
You don't have to say that how you tried to kill yourself.
Right.
But it's important that you be bold enough to say it, because otherwise no one says it. And you got to change that. So anyway, that's my story.
Okay. I love it. So now we're going to switch gears and just a couple quick things. What are you optimistic about in our world and our economy?
Well, I am really optimistic that the things that are happening in artificial intelligence are real. I've spent a lot of time with the people who are pioneers. And I think that what they'll do is democratize. And I think people have to realize that what happens is right now we live in a two-class world where there's computer scientists, and to a lesser extent computer engineers, and then there's everybody else who's ignorant. And I think it could really change things. It's pretty liberating.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. I mean, I have a political view that could go bad or not. Don't talk about much about it. But I think that people are going to be, I think it's going to be very exciting to see what you can unlock the creativity. I'll give you an example. My daughter, hobbyist, liked to make cookies. And she went to Parsons. She likes making cookies, whatever. And she's turned it into an Instagram business using Adobe Firefly, which is their AI product, to make it so she has a very dynamic Instagram presence, which has then brought her a huge amount of business.
Really?
Yeah, and it's all the kind of thing where she just said, listen, I know how to use it. I was a beta on it, and I think what people, it's going to unleash a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
I think it's going to make it so a lot of people who are at jobs they don't want will have the ability to, with a combination of Shopify and this, you can really do great things. And I know that when it started, I was friendly. Well, I covered Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, and I remember I went out there in 2016, and he said, "Look, I want you to show you something." And it was in front of a computer. He says, "Ask the computer to do anything." I said, "Well, no, where's the keyboard?" He goes, "No, just ask it." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "Just speak to it." I said, "Speak to what?" He said, "Speak to that." And like a camera. And he said, "Ask it to paint something."
Okay.
And I said, "Well, again," I said, "I'm sorry, Jensen, I don't understand." And he goes, "Okay, do you have a favorite artist?" I said, "Yeah, I like Cezanne." He said, "Okay, what I want you to do is ask it to paint something by Cezanne, but don't make it a still life.
Something different." Yeah.
So I said, "Okay, make me a Cezanne seascape."
Oh.
And 2 seconds later, there it was.
Wow.
So I said, "Well, this is a joke? Is it magic?" He goes, "No, this is the new world."
So it like learned how to paint like Cezanne.
So then I said, "What else can it do?" He said, "Well, why don't you go over this one?" He said, "What do you want?" I said, "I don't know." He goes, "Just think, what do you want? Just, what would you like to have been? Where would you like to have been? What would you have liked to have seen?" I said, "Well, I like Shakespeare. I like King Henry V. I'd like to be in the Globe Theater. Good seats, please. And watch a great Shakespearean actor say the St. Crispin Day speech."
Wow.
And he said, "Okay, sit down." And then I was transformed into the Globe Theater and watched the St. Crispin Day speech.
That's unbelievable.
I said, "Jensen, this is insane." He goes, "Yes, it's insane, and I can't get anyone to pay attention to it. And would you come out?" Then I came out several other times. And we always do crazy things. One time I came in, And there was me. And he goes, "Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome
Did
to
it look-
Cramer."
did it look like you?
Oh no, it's perfect. Like you wouldn't be able to tell whether it was me or
Stop it.
whether it was me or I was
Okay,
me.
but doesn't that scare you a little bit?
No, because it's just
Why
so
doesn't
cool.
it scare you?
Well, because it's so cool. I mean, because it was a parlor game at the time.
Yeah.
So then,
But don't you think that there are really dangerous
yes,
implications?
we talk a lot about
Yeah.
the guardrails
Right.
and what has to be done. And,
Yeah.
and we're not, my friend David Faber says, "Jim, you're too dismissive of it." I said,
Yeah.
"No, it's kind of wondrous."
Yeah.
But one of the things that happened is we tried to come up with some uses that would be so obvious that people would do it. Like, for instance, a fast food chain might want to have a person at the on the drive-through
Oh, yeah.
do
yeah,
it because it can speak
absolutely.
27 languages at the time.
Yeah,
It could, and
yeah.
it was fluent and never made a mistake. So you could take that person off put that person back on the line instead of doing it.
Well, I'd be more comfortable with, rather than a self-driving car, that
Right.
having a robot drive the car.
Yeah, definitely. I would.
Right?
I would
Because
too.
I
And I've
feel
done
like the
self-driving.
robot you could train to have reflexes, whereas if the self-driving car computer fails, then you're screwed.
Right, and
right?
Jensen does Mercedes Benz. He does the German cars,
Oh,
which I
okay.
think are really, really good stuff. So
Yeah.
So then one day it was to no avail. Everything was to no avail.
Yeah.
I talked
Yeah.
fast with it, no avail. And then one day, ChatGPT,
Oh, yeah.
and that
It's,
was his.
uh-huh.
It's based on one of his chips.
Yeah.
He called me. He goes, "Come out, come out." He goes, "It's over. We're done. Everyone knows."
Yeah.
And his company was not that big a company. And
Yeah.
now it's the third biggest company in the world.
It's unbelievable. Hey, what are you pessimistic about?
Well, Mideast, Ukraine, possible election, the Republic.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that obviously you can't. It's very difficult to have a normal day. And now
Yeah.
think about this. It kind of reminds me of when we thought that the Russians had the H bomb and
Yeah.
they could kill us.
Yeah.
And you would wake up and you try to ask your mom, "Mommy, what?
Yeah,
are we all
what's
gonna die?
tomorrow gonna be like,
Are
yeah.
we all going to die? Are we all going to die?" And this is different. We're just a little less existential about that. I was a little boy, but I think that to not worry about the election, to not worry about how you get out of situations like in the Middle East, it's worrisome. But you try to have a good life, and you worry about your kids. And what the world is going to be for them, and then you worry about climate change and what's going to happen with the world.
Yeah.
And do we care enough? And
Yeah.
hopefully everybody cares enough.
Do you think we
You know,
do
what-
care enough?
No, I mean, like, why is China allowed to open up a coal plant every week? What the hell's that?
Yeah.
Who are they?
Yeah, what is that?
Who are they to do that? Who are they to get away with that?
Yeah.
Why are we so scared of them? Why do we want to do so much business with them? I don't know.
Why do you think we are so scared of them, and why do you think we
Well,
want to
we
do
think
so much
that we
business?
have no power. Or maybe we don't have power.
Mm-hmm.
India's doing it too, and India's democracy. But yeah, I mean, I worry about the planet. I think it's nuts not to. There are a lot of good people who are worried about it.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm not worried about is corporations, because the vast majority of CEOs I deal with are fabulous.
Really?
Fabulous.
That's great. That's very
Just
positive.
fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to be with them. I interview.
You like to
probably
talk
more-
to them, and
Yeah,
you,
probably interview more than anybody. And
yeah.
I just, I'm very optimistic about what companies do. It's very exciting.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And we'll end on that note.
All right,
Thank you
very good.
so much.
Absolutely.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate your
Absolutely.
being so honest about your
No,
journey.
I want
It's
people
incredible.
to know.
Yeah.
I mean, for Cece's sake.
Yeah.
We just said, please let people know how your brain,
No, it's
how your brain is
so
hurt,
important.
that your brain's not right, and that you try every day to stay alive,
Yeah.
and just let people.
Yeah. And your brain works so well.
Well,
So
good actor. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.